Thank you for tuning in. This will be some updates about Shanquella Robinson because it's always justice for her all day, every day, regardless if we don't talk about it much. The people who truly care for her are just patiently waiting for updates as they come until full justice is served. The Baja California Sur Attorney General Daniel De La Rosa had an interview with Mr. Zuniga, the Mexican reporter, and he stated the following about the case over the past few weeks. The Attorney General says at this point they have worked with Interpol to put out a red notice. A red notice is an advisory to law enforcement across the globe to be on the lookout for the suspect who is alleged to be Dejanay Jackson. There's no impunity in this case. He says right now it's important to fulfill, above all, the judicial order of the presumed person responsible for the unfortunate event. Also, that Mexico is working to extradite that suspect to Mexico once they're located, which will have to involve America because this is where Dejanay Jackson and the other Cabo 5 are allegedly located at the time, but the arrest warrant is worldwide for the presumed person responsible. Again, allegedly, whom we all believe is Dejanay Jackson. There's an open and ongoing investigation that is in the initial stages of the investigation. The judicial order was obtained in the case derived from in a relation to the events that happened to Shanquella. In San Jose del Cabo, initially emergency services reported it as an accidental death, as we all know, because that's how it was reported to 911. The case is still very much open, and the investigation protocol of femicide is being carried out because this is how the investigation is handled in this kind of case when it comes to a crime against a woman. Several tests were conducted among the autopsy, which determined the cause of death of Shanquella. The medical examiner documented the following. The medical protocol stated that the cause of death was cervical injury of the neck and spine. It's important to note that the fact of the initial investigation, which reported the death of Shanquella, stated that she had been drinking and that it had been an accidental death. The treating doctor was at the villa before the intervention of authorities, who still attended to Shanquella, and from the first initial medical attention provided, it was determined that she apparently had died of an accidental death. Just a reminder that the actual spine and neck injury can't be diagnosed or physically seen without an x-ray or an autopsy on a body. So the Cabo 6 lying to the doctor, she only could go off what she was told. I do know that there was blood vessel bust in her eye, a cut on her lip, and swelling on her eye, but who knows what the Cabo 6 said to the doctor and if she asked about those injuries. From this point, the whole investigation protocol began. By then, the companions or the Cabo 6 were not there and they had left the country. According to the state prosecutor, there was a follow-up by law enforcement, but they would find out that the Cabo 6 left immediately the next day back to the U.S. Even before the infamous video went viral, the state prosecutor said that after the autopsy results came in, that is when the investigation began, and that's the first moment the public ministry was made aware through the correspondence how everything truly developed. So much to say at that moment. There's a judicial injunction against the alleged person who is directly responsible, which is alleged again to be Miss Jackson. Furthermore, he would stress that on the day of October 29th, people who came to the villa will react to the incident as it was being reported by the Cabo 6, who again said it was alcohol poisoning. The doctor who was attending to Shanquella at the time reported it as facts or possible cause. But this is why there's an investigation so that the precise information can be determined. With this case, the protocol that were followed determined and accredited that this is an intentional death, which is product of a femicide. Please remember that in order to bring charges against a person, the authorities must first prove with an objective investigation that first, there is in fact an appearance of a crime. Second, who or whom are the alleged perpetrators of that fact that there was a crime. Once that information was gathered, it was submitted to the decision of a judicial authority, in this case, which is the judge who is handling the case. This is how the procedures are followed, and this investigation is very solid and objective according to the state prosecutor. They had gathered all the information necessary for the investigation to move forward as it has, and there is already a court order against the alleged person responsible for the direct aggression. The Office of the Public Ministry is also working on investigating the possible omission of evidence or information. So if there was co-participants in the femicide, they will find out. With this, the investigation is not only extended in Los Cabos, San Jose del Cabo, but various elements of the investigation have been requested of the American authorities, from extradition of the main culprit and the interviews of any people who are related to the case. It is an investigation that is taking its course, and to whom it may concern in America, they have been made aware of the court order. The order in general is femicide, and femicide is a crime that is a part of the Mexican Penal Code in the state of Baja California Sur. It was established for the deprivation of the life of a woman for reason of gender. The various situations of femicide by law is when trust is betrayed. In this case, it may be a friendship. Also, when there's a kinship or any relationship, then the criminal type would be that of femicide, which is accredited in other countries as well. However, in some places, it would be considered intentional homicide or some other criminal type that has been established. Well, according to protocol right now, it is an investigation that has already been prosecuted, which means that it is no longer in the beginning stages of the investigation, but is at the level of the prosecuting headquarters with the judge. So for a clear understanding, the investigation is already under the directive and guardianship of the judicial authorities and waiting for the judicial order to be fulfilled, and that is the extradition. Once said suspect, again believed to be Dejanay Jackson, is expedited to Baja California Sur, then an initial hearing will be happening according to the prosecuting attorney general. The evidence that was found will be presented at that point. Then the judicial authorities will make a determination at the hearing when the future court appearances will be. This gives the accused time to prepare their case. So just like in America, there's a process. Everyone has the right to present their case, to have a lawyer, and so forth. Also, just like in America, once they have their person, they do have bond court. But with a charge of femicide, the crime does not allow a person bond, so they would be denied and have to wait the sentencing out. In Baja California Sur, the legislator determined the penalty of femicide is 30 to 60 years in prison. However, if it was an intentional or generic homicide, it's 25 to 50 years in prison in Mexico. Femicide is a higher penalty because in Mexico, it is taken very seriously if a woman is murdered. As far as the FBI is concerned, the prosecuting attorney general, Daniel De La Rosa, who is given all of this info, stated the only information that he can share is that it is not so much about institutions or agencies, but of governments. In this case, of the government of Mexico, the requests all have been made through the Attorney General's office, which is the work of all the collaborating prosecutors in the country with the Attorney General. It is at this point the Secretary of Foreign Affairs got involved because they are the ones that carry out all the work for international collaborations. With this case, it was the American Union or the United States. Now, the burning question everyone has in regards to how long it takes to get the accused to Mexico, the prosecuting attorney generally would relay that in the case, the respective protocols and or procedures have been carried out and that there is an excellent collaboration with the U.S. on what is developing. So from that, to me, it sounds like there's a lot going on that we don't know about that is going to be good news. Also, that the case will be tried in Baja California Sur, and historically there has been no impunities whatsoever. If you're not sure what that is, impunities is exemption from punishment or freedom from the injurious consequences of Dejanay's actions. The prosecuting attorney general will go on to talk about the track records in Baja California Sur, and that they get the job done. Their cases get resolved from the states. Have no fear, everything has been presented to the judicial authorities, and the case just following its course at this point. It will soon have a definite resolution, and he wants to emphasize that Baja California Sur is one of the states in the Mexican Republic that has the lowest incidence of this type of crime. However, they work very hard and are very confident they will resolve this crime. They are making sure basically that all their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed, that everything is fully clarified so that the alleged perpetrator or perpetrators be punished to the fullest extent of the law. He will go on to say that it may seem like a delay, but it's really not. Now, as far as the photo that Mr. Zuniga turned into the authorities, the Attorney General said the photographs that were provided, they would determine the validity using experts to make sure of the authenticity. And if valid, they would be part of the investigation. I personally believe that the images may have been taken by a first responder at the villa, and they did not initially turn them in because they probably were just taking pictures of what was going on, like a lot of people do in the world today when an incident occurs. But after what came out, Mr. Zuniga was able to reach and find out who all was there and asked if they had any evidence. And I believe that's when someone handed him over the pictures that they had taken, and that's just my personal opinion. It would later be determined that the photos were indeed real, and they would be turned over to be presented to the judge. To that end, as far as people who may have omitted information, investigations are being conducted still, and that main thing has been established, which is holding the person who allegedly is responsible for the crime based on existing evidence that there was an assault. However, when talking about the integrity of the investigation, they either plan to or already have investigated all those involved with the facts of the incident. In the case, it would be the friends or Cabo 6 who were present. Also, all those persons or people who at some point participated in the act of these facts when entering the house. All this has been investigated and requested for multiple interviews have been sent with the petition for international collaboration. So they've sent it over. We don't know if these interviews have been conducted as of yet with the remaining Cabo 6, but that information has been well sent over to the proper people here on the side in America. And just a reminder also, this was an exclusive interview. It was the one and only interview that was granted by the Attorney General of Baja California Sur. Some facts to sum up: on November 21st of 2022, the Attorney General delivered the request for an arrest warrant for the purpose of extradition for the key person responsible or accused of the femicide. Next, the Attorney General's office request was delivered to the government of the United States through the Secretary of Foreign Affairs. What they can share at this moment with us is, above all, that the protocol and the procedures are being developed. It is an investigation that is following its course, and it requires some confidentiality. So I would assume most people would understand that, confidentiality in a situation like this. They can't just let everybody know what's going on right when it's happening. That's a part of an investigation. The investigation is objective and very solid, they say. There are many elements of the investigation that support the case: the interviews, witnesses, testimony, expert evidence, inspections, experimental data, and elements that include video and audio. All these elements will be integrated into the crime files and will be a part of the entire investigation and criminal procedures. Will Mexico hand over the case to America? They said absolutely not. Will there be justice for Shanquella Robinson and Baja California Sur? They said absolutely yes. And in this particular case, there are already very important advances, and Mexico is only waiting for the pertinent procedures to be fulfilled on the U.S. side so that the alleged person of this act be held accountable through respective criminal procedures before a judge as it is required. So Shanquella Robinson's case is very much alive and open in Mexico, Baja California, sir. So there you have it. It's basically now just a waiting game, and all we can do is still keep her name alive on all social network platforms and through events that the family hold. Coming up on February 18, 2023 at 12 noon, there will be a march to the post office on McDowell Street to mail out letters of concerns to Mexico. If you would like to attend, they want you to bring your letters ready to be mailed, and the address will be provided the day of the event. Everyone will meet at Little Rock AME Zion Church at 401 North McDowell Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's the information if you would like to be a part of that event and be there. However, it looks as though you won't know where to send the letter until the day of, because I believe they want all the letters to get to Mexico at the same exact time. So if you plan on sending a letter from somewhere else or a different country, once they release that, then maybe you can send your personal letters. But I do think there should be some letters sent, whichever way possible, to the FBI here in the U.S. if there's concern about the case, because Mexico seems that they're standing on wanting justice and they themselves are waiting for the U.S. They did all they can do at this point. So I don't think that Mexico can do much more. And getting the letters seeing as though they've taken it through all of their steps already. I find it hard to believe that the state prosecuting attorney general, somebody in that high position, would give us all this information that I just told you about if it were not true. And then also, if they were stating all these things about higher officials here in America, American has not said anything. Anyone who possesses any power, let me make that clear. Anybody in America who possesses any power, who deals with these situations, whether it be the FBI, the Attorney General for North Carolina, or whoever it may be, they have not disputed these statements. So I believe that Mexico is kind of at a standstill, and at this point, we should be pushing more out to the FBI here for the Attorney General again in North Carolina. Anybody else here that has the power to make changes in her case. And this is information if you have that desire to be petitioning. But I trust the process personally. That's my opinion. I believe they're working on her case, and it's just some things that are not for the public to know in this investigation right now because it's open. So as of now, that is all the latest true news and events to come about the Shanquella Robinson's case. The Cabo Six are still out living their lives. Allegedly, no one has officially been taken into custody in the U.S. as of yet. I also been hearing chatter that the Cabo Six are allegedly lawyered up, so that is that. And there's a few petitions going around too as well about justice for Shanquella. So I think patience is key again, and there will be justice for Shanquella, and there are things that we just don't know because we can't at this time with it being an open investigation like I just stated. So with that being said, please comment your thoughts and your continued prayers for Shanquella's family in their difficult time, and hit that like button to share to make your people aware. And as always, remember, stay woke. Things change quickly.